From the OUTV Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, California, this is Brief News Brief, a brief look at today's trending news topics. Proudly combating the thought police since 2016, here's your host, James Heaney.
I'm James Heaney, and this is your Brief News Briefing. No, wait, don't go away. No, I am James Heaney. I just don't have a mustache. No, I don't have time to tell you that story right now. This is news time. News for you. Acting Homeland Security Chief Kevin McAleenan said that separating migrant families at the U.S. southern border is not on the table, and the policy was not worth it from an enforcement perspective. McAleenan, gosh, I've been struggling with that name. Kevin McAleenan told NBC News' Lester Holt on Tuesday, "We're not pursuing that approach." And this was his first network interview as acting DHS secretary. You might recall, Kristen Nielsen was forced out of the job earlier this month because she refused to reinstate the policy of separating children. So, I'm not trying to point anything out here, but it seems like when a woman makes that choice, she loses her job, and now Kevin McAleenan's coming in and he can do it? I don't know. I think that I'm upset. But McAleenan insisted the family separation policy, which was meant to be a deterrent, wasn't coming back. He also called for lawmakers to amend immigration policy to allow for a more efficient immigration court system and address the enormous backlog of immigration cases, which is great news because yesterday it was being reported that officials from the Department of Homeland Security recently considered detaining migrant children in Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, that sounds like totes cray, right? Attorney General William Barr even issued an order last week that would deny some asylum seekers the right to ask for bond, which would leave them in detention indefinitely. A massive spike in the last couple of months of U.S.-Mexico border apprehensions has almost doubled the migrants coming from unstable areas in Central America, despite of the 2018 policy of taking children from their parents, which was supposed to be a deterrent because those kids are going into cages. But it's not a deterrent if a cage is a step up from some terrible, tragic place in Central America. Now, officials said in a court filing earlier this month that it might take 2 years for government to identify thousands of migrant children who were separated from their families. The government has to sift through about 47,000 children who were apprehended by U.S. immigration officials and find out if they ended back with their family members or not yet. Some say that Trump's policies have caused so much chaos along the border that chaos might actually be encouraging more illegal crossings. What? A federal appeals court ruled Monday that chalking is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. So the next time a parking attendant is wandering around your car making little marks on the tires, you can basically confront them and say they're acting unconstitutionally. The case was brought about in Michigan, where a woman named Allison Taylor received 15 parking tickets in 1 year, and then she was like, "Nuh-uh, I'm taking this to court." Taylor's lawyer, Philip Ellison, wrote in a court filing, "This is trespassing a privately owned vehicle parked on a public street to place chalk marks to begin gathering information to ultimately impose a government sanction is unconstitutional under the Fourth Amendment." A 3-judge panel of the U.S. Appeals Court for the Sixth Circuit unanimously agreed. Chalking tires is trespassing and requires a warrant. The court found that chalking is indeed a search, and the Fourth Amendment protects people from unreasonable searches and seizures. One small step for man, one giant leap in the ongoing battle of citizens versus meter maids. For the very first time, criminal charges are being filed for a drug distributor and executive in the nation's ongoing opioid crisis. Today, prosecutors charged pharmaceutical company Rochester Drug Cooperative, RDC, and 2 of its former executives. RDC is one of the nation's largest distributors of opioids. The company is accused of failing to properly report thousands of suspicious orders of oxycodone, fentanyl, and other controlled substances. The company's former chief executive, Lawrence Dowd III, has been placed under arrest by federal drug agents and is expected to appear in Manhattan federal court later today. Lawrence Dowd III is believed to be the first pharmaceutical executive associated with the nation's opioid crisis to face criminal charges of being a big-time drug dealer. Like, this is the first time they're being treated like they are, okay? Between 2010 and 2018, RDC sold more than 143 million oxycodone pills to customers in New York alone. Meanwhile, the embattled maker of OxyContin, Purdue Pharma, is attempting to cry poverty to avoid accountability for the company's role in the nation's opioid epidemic. The lawsuit against Purdue Pharma seeks to claw back transferred funds and a court order to prevent any additional transfers of money. It's alleged that hundreds of millions of dollars were fraudulently transferred from Purdue Pharma to the Sacklers. That's the family that controls the company to evade liability. Now today, for the first time, wholesalers of legal painkillers face the prospect of prison for their roles in the nation's opioid epidemic. Now the charges against the country's sixth largest drug wholesaler, RDC, are sure to sound off warning signals to those who control the narcotic distribution in the United States. More than 400,000 people died of the opioid overdoses between 1999 and 2017, and the largest drug crisis in U.S. history. And if you want to learn more, there's a lot of places you can go, but a week ago, Behind the Bastards, we did a whole double episode on the Sackler family. I would like to remind you to check it out.